What could they be growing here? Tobacco? Looks like a small tobacco patch to me. All right, here's the homestead, the house. And these are the tobacco barns. Now this would be a pack house where the tobacco was stored after it was cured in the tobacco barns. There's a tobacco barn over there in the back. They would have a basement because the tobacco would have to be brought into order by adding moisture to it so it wouldn't be so brittle. It could be handled, graded, and put in bundles, but it had to have sufficient moisture, otherwise it would just crumble. And they would put it in these tobacco pallets here, made out of oak. Look at the gourds. All right, let's take a look inside of the basement of the pack house, and it's quite chilly. They called it putting it in order, meaning adding moisture to it. There's those tobacco sticks. All right, here's an old tobacco planter. And I'm guessing this was pulled by mules because you have a front seat and then you have the two back seats. The tobacco slips were put in these hoppers. There's the water. And these are cultivators, I guess. Look at the old buckboard wagon. Okay. These things used to be all over North Carolina and Virginia, South Carolina. They're 18 by 18 log tobacco barns. The logs would be cut on the farm, shaped into a building. And they used wood for curing. There's a pile of wood. That's how they would do it. They would have slabs. There's another tying horse, stringing horse. Now, when they used mules before tractors became common, they used slides, they call them, drawn by a mule, drug through the tobacco field, slid through the tobacco field. Here's tobacco sticks, and here's the pipe, exhaust pipe, another tying horse. So, these tobacco slides, or sleds, some people call them, they would skid, see? And they'd have guano sides, which you could remove the sides. And they used, some people use bottle caps from Coca-Cola bottles to hold the guano on there, the burlap, not guano, burlap. And so the mule would just be standing there, and you tell him to get up as you moved along with the progress of the primers, the people who were harvesting the tobacco. Okay. In the hot summer when it was being harvested, which is August, July, August, September, the people at the barn, who worked at the barn, they called it, were in the shade. Thank goodness, because it was hot. All right, let's go inside here and see some of this curing tobacco. Okay, you see what you did? It's strung on sticks. So get over here with the lights a little better. You use tobacco twine. There are bundles of 3. You put it on the stick and you hang it. You see how it's spaced out? It's called a tier pole. This is a tier pole right here. This is considered a room. And let's see, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different levels in this room. And you would hang it green, starting at the top and down to the bottom. And it would be wet. It would be dripping because the dew was still on it in the mornings. So the person at the bottom handing the stick up to the person standing on the tier pole, straddling the tier poles. It was hard work. Here's tobacco sticks. So you see this one, this is how they cured it here. Here's your heat source right here. This was pretty crude. It's just a cement, rock and cement. So you'd have a fire going inside there. Logs would be put in from the outside. And then the heat would come up and would go all around the barn. Coming out of the end here. Going around. So these hot pipes are generating heat. The heat would rise and cure the tobacco. And then when you, at a certain point, you would raise the heat very high, and that made it yellow. So in the old days, when you were curing tobacco in the summer, somebody had to sleep at the barn to keep stroking the fire at night because it would go down, and it had to be kept at a certain level. Now, Washington Duke came back from the Civil War. He was a prisoner of war. He got back home, and his farm had been cleaned out by the Union soldiers. The only thing left was one of these buck wagons with tobacco in it, pulled by 2 blind mules. And he had 50 cents in his pocket when he got home. It's typical of a rural farmhouse. Now this, I presume, is the tobacco factory, they called them. He started out in a little small barn. Maybe the other one was a replica of the original, the one over here. But Washington Duke got into the processing business, tobacco factory, taking the tobacco and making it into a product to sell. Pro Bono Publico was his brand, which evolved into Bull Durham. Look at this big walnut tree. Pretty big. They're not doing tours today. Apparently they didn't have enough staff. You got the wood pile, you got the well. Look at these old wooden buckets, water buckets. And the garden.